Hey guys, my name's Derek and this is my trip to Cambodia this summer. In this clip, we had just been picked up from the airport and our guide was taking us to the volunteer house. Once we arrived at our volunteer house, we were given a set of rules and we got introduced to how many meals we would be eating, and we also were given our location in which we would stay. For me, during the lecture we were each assigned to our placements. I was specifically assigned to a restaurant. They called it Les Restaurantes de Infantes, and that's where I was volunteering at an orphanage, and there we would assist the kids in cooking foods. We would also give them a lot of. In that last video, there's a guy cutting a tire in half, and what had happened was there was 2 volunteers that had been volunteering about 2 months prior, and they actually set up a GoFundMe on Facebook, and they had raised $300, and they used those $300 to create a playground. In 1963, a man by the name of Pol Pot took over Cambodia's government and led the Khmer Rouge. In 1975, he ordered everyone to evacuate the capital, Phnom Penh. He later turned a high school, which was called Tuol Sleng, into what became known as S-21. S-21 later became the concentration camp that was held place in Phnom Penh and was used to torture higher officials along with the educated professors and teachers. He would use his rebels to interrogate these people. The most impactful experience I had in Cambodia was the tour of the slums. At the slums, I witnessed the harsh living conditions of the poor. In the picture, the body of water is a mixture of rain along with feces and urine. This body of water is what separates the slums from the city. The woman that was giving me this tour was once a child that would go to the orphanage that I was stationed at. She told me that she had been living here for about 10 years now, and I was completely shocked. I didn't even want to believe her, and after walking for about 5 more minutes, we actually reached her house. And I honestly didn't believe what I saw. The roof on her house was about 3 feet high, and the floor. Comparing the children of America to the children of Cambodia, Cambodian children have much more responsibility and are burdened much more than Americans. A lot of the times due to Cambodia's broken government, the population of physical disabilities is much higher with a lower quality of care. The most important health problems are malnutrition, malaria, tuberculosis, and diarrheal diseases. Half of the population survives on $1 a day. Due to the lack of maintenance and destruction of the water system, there is a risk of major disease. Seeing the country as a whole has given me a greater global perspective, which can help influence Americans in how we implement. The most important difference I observed in Cambodia was how everyone was so desperate for food and money. One example of this would be the tuk-tuk drivers. They all knew I wasn't a local and constantly asked if I needed a ride. When we did use a tuk-tuk, they would ask when we would need to go back home and offer to wait for us outside the mall. When looking at the global health principles in Cambodia, we can start by looking at the access to care. In Cambodia, the government officials make about 80% of the total wealth in the country. The remaining 20% make a majority of the common people. The Cambodians are not promised healthcare and are forced to pay out of pocket for every visit and surgery. Looking at the quality of care in Cambodia, we can see the level of credibility that the licensed doctors and physicians is much lower than Americans. I feel that the most important takeaway from Cambodia was gaining insight on a different country and being exposed to a foreign environment. Living in these conditions for 2 weeks really opened up my eyes to new ideas and struggles in the world.